This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning. Okay, so yesterday we looked at data blending, and data blending is nothing but joining of the data, but from multiple data sources. So, we looked at one was the Excel file, the other was the MS Access, right? So let's do the other way. So whatever columns we drag it, that becomes the blue tick mark, right? That is the primary data set. So let's say claims you wanted to make it primary, right? What is the first thing we want? We want some common column between it. As I said, we renamed this to country. Think country is already there. Okay, country is already there. Now, if I want this claims to be as base, I will drag these things first, then that claims data will be blue tick mark, and the other data set, I'll link it, that will be your secondary join. So this data blending doesn't give you option, okay, whether you want to do left join, right join, or inner join. It only does a left join. So remember this. And which is your left table? The one which is in the blue is your base, is your left. The one which is in the orange is your right. It does only left join. Okay. Now, there are a few things. Let me go to US Superstore. And in the US Superstore, if you remember, we talked about actions. We talked about actions. So if I want to perform an action from this to this, how did we do that? We went to dashboards, we went to actions, and in the add action, we talked about filter, but we did not talk about these two options. So let me talk about those two options also today. So what we learned is go to filter, and we need to give the source and target. That means where will we click, and this is like a from, like, okay, if I want to click it from the supplier, from this table, this sheet, this table will be my source. Okay, once we click on it, what should it change, where should it go, like the action? So that will be in the target. So what I am looking at is from supplier to segment. So here we will only select the supplier, and here we will select the segment, and then say okay. But you can have what kind of an action you want to do. So you want to perform the action based on the selection. So when the user clicks on it, then the action needs to be performed, or however means when the user takes the mouse, the action needs to be performed. Menu is when we click on it, it will give you the menu directly. It will not jump to the action. This is what we have learned. But now let me talk about let me talk about dashboard, action, and let me talk about go to URL. Now in this go to URL, what I want is whenever I click on the map, so URL, it will go to a URL. The name itself, gives us that hint. Okay, this is the action which is related to the URL. Okay, so let me give any name, and let me select the map. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting this sheet, sales by state. Now when the user clicks on any portion of the map, what should happen? www dot, see this. Now do okay. Do okay. Now, if I go to the presentation mode and if I click on the map, any portion of the map, you see it is pointing, it is redirecting us to the website which we have entered, right? So if I go back again, dashboard actions, URL. Now, what I want is whenever the user clicks on, let's say, California, we want to go to California wiki page, let's say, and I'll copy this URL. So I want when we click, it should redirect to this site instead of google.com. Okay. So when the user is looking at this, let's say they're looking at this map, they want to know more about, they're not aware of the California, any of the state. They want more information about that. How we generally do, okay, we go to Google and search for, okay, what is California in United States. So on this, I want, instead of google.com, I want that as this link. Now see what will happen. So when I'm clicking on this California, it is pointing to that website. Instead of Google, it is pointing to this wiki page and showing information about California. Now, wherever I am clicking it, let's say I am clicking on Washington, it is still going to California because the link, the URL is hard coded. The URL is hard coded. Now, we want to make it dynamic. So, whichever state I am interested in, I just click on it and it should point to that state information. So, I'll go to dashboard, actions, URL. So, instead of this, I will remove California and I'll go to this arrow and there is a state column. Now, all those states, California, Washington, so obviously we should have a state column, right? Then only we have created that map. Now, I'm clicking on this state. So, what you see is after slash, under less than and greater than symbol, you have this column state. Have this column state. Now, what will happen whenever the user clicks on any of the state, it will pick up which state it is and it will substitute here dynamically. Okay. Now see, let's say if I click on Washington, see it is going to the Washington. Let's say if I click on here, right? So can you all perform this? Go to US Superstore. I'm sure you must be already be having, and go to that dashboard and perform an action. And what type of action it is? It is a URL action. So we were already aware of what is a filter action, where we give the source and target, but we haven't looked at this highlight and go to URL. So I have explained this go to URL now. Can you all try this out? Create an URL action on the map in the US Superstore dashboard. So let me scroll this. Yeah. I'll give couple of minutes. Let me know once you're done. Let me open this what I did so that you can refer. If anyone is done, you can ping in the chat window. Okay. Okay, so over here also we have different types of actions. Like we can do a select. That means when I go and click on particular state, then only that it will go to the URL. Or if I just take the mouse over, it'll go there. And if I do menu, okay, let me do menu because many of you are aware of select and hover. Let me do menu. Okay, now it is not going when I'm taking the mouse, nothing is happening. If I'm clicking on it, nothing is happening, right? So when you click, if it is menu, it will give you this option. What is this URL which is popping up? This is the action name. That is the action name. When the user clicks on it, then only it will perform that action. Because most of the time it happens, right? Whenever we're looking at something, we click on it, but our intention is not to, you know, go somewhere else. If we are interested in actually going to that action, then only they will click on it. So in those kinds of cases, you can use the menu. Okay, now let me do a quick testing. Automatic, and let me do this, let me do floating. Mm, okay, let me build a new worksheet, and let me say what do we have here. Okay, there are a lot of items. Okay, I have this category and this customer segment, right? Okay, let me drag the sales. Now let me duplicate this sheet, and instead of category I am looking at, okay, let's take customer segment. Okay, now these two sheets, sheet 7.2 and 7.3, let me put it here, 7.2 and 7.3. Okay, now let me go to dashboard, action, And now I'm interested in this highlight action. What does this highlight action does? Now when I clicked on that highlight, it again shows like, okay, what is the source, what is the target? Let's say I'm interested in 7.3 sheet to 7.2 sheet, and I'm interested in this select, and do this. Now in over here, let me take customer segment as well. You see, like when I'm clicking on consumer, in the other table, few things are getting highlighted in yellow. If I'm selecting corporate, so this is the highlight action. This allows us, okay, whenever the user clicks on something, we want their attention to go to something else. So if I'm clicking on home office, immediately on the other one, the home office related things are getting highlighted. So if I want to do, let me do this. Let me take customer segment first. Now let me do this. See, if I'm clicking on, this is a different way. If I'm clicking on consumer, all the consumer sections are getting highlighted. If I'm clicking on corporate, all the corporate section is getting highlighted. So this is the highlight action. When we click on something, there's a few things in the other table should get highlighted. Can you all perform this? So build two sheets in the US Superstore, build new sheets, right click and new insert new sheets and drag these columns. So first create these two sheets, drag it onto the dashboard and perform that highlight action. So let me open that highlight action for your reference. Yeah. And let me know once you're done.
Can you please repeat the steps how you created those sheets?
Yeah. So go to sheet. So this is first sheet. Simple. Like I have dragged these two columns, customer segment and category, and the sales, which is a numeric column, I have dragged it onto the text. That's how we see this number as a table. This is the first one.
Okay.
Everyone created this sheet.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so then insert another sheet where you just have customer segment and you have this sales dragged to the text.
Okay.
So once you have these two sheets, go to dashboard, but before dragging it, you need to do floating. If you remember floating allows us to freely move these objects wherever we want. And before doing that, also you have to do this automatic.
Okay.
So do that auto size as automatic, do this as floating, and then drag these things. Okay, everyone finished. Anurag, Anusha, Rajshekhar, Shiva, Siddharth, Shrenu, Venkat, Vamshi. Are you all getting it? Okay. 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 Now let us learn some other things. So if I go here and let me create, let's say I have this order date and this sales. Okay. Now let me make this as a bar chart. Okay. Let me make this as a bar chart. Now, if I right click, if I right click and here we are talking about the axis. Okay. So when I'm right clicking on the axis, whether it could be x axis or y axis, and there is something called as add reference line. Now, reference line could be, there are different ways of looking at that reference line. Um, let's say, basically, we want to add a line. So that line needs to be at the entire table level. So what this line is doing is this line is coming basis on average of sales. You see, it will again depend on why it is showing sales, because on the chart we have dragged this sales. Now we are looking at this average sum of sales at the entire table level. Okay, and this is a line. Now what this tells us, okay, when do we add this reference line? That is the question. Now if I take the mouse here, it says the average is around like 7608614. That means from the entire data set, out of, you know all the sales which has happened, average sales is this. Now what does this tell us is, okay, in 2010 we did not do good in terms of sales because we are falling below the average. We're falling below the average. We kind of improved in 2011, then we improved in 2012, but in 2013, if we see, we did good. We have exceeded the average, that benchmarking. So these are the cutoffs when we want to look at, okay, we want to compare it with, the averages from the data, right? So this gives me the picture, okay, uh, on in which year we did good in terms of sales when we compare the average sales in the entire data set. But when we did had this reference line, you know, still this graph was good, but when you want to do a comparison with some numbers, let's say you're looking at the sales dashboard, and to every salesman, you will give some targets, right? You will give some targets, and at the end of the day, you want to measure that, okay, how much was the target and how much they have achieved. So if you have that target as a line and this bar chart as that achievement, how much they have achieved, that gives the clear picture. Okay, this line chart shows here whether they have overachieved, exceeded the expectation, or they are underachieved. So these reference lines become handy. Now let me go here and let's do this. So when you do per cell, every bar, so per cell is not being used much because it does the average sales by each year. But we already know, right? Okay, this is how this is where the data is. It will not give the true picture, but we want it, on the entire data set level. So mostly the entire table is being used, and you can use what you want. You want the sum, but if you do the sum, the reference line is much bigger because we have huge numbers of sales. That will not give the true picture. So let's take the average of it. That gives the true picture of it. Um, Now there are different types of reference lines we can do. That this is just a plotting a line. We can do banding. That means, okay, from here till here, you know this is the portion which is above average, correct? This is the portion which is above average, and we can look at, okay, these sections fall within that. It just gets highlighted. Again, distribution is the one. It shows uh, in terms of the percentage. So this is where the 60% of the average, this is where the 80% of the average. It gives you those percentage. Nothing, it's nothing but looking at in a different way. Can you all try this out? How did I do that? So build this similar chart. I'm in the superstore. So drag this order date, drag this sum of sales, create a bar chart, right click on the axis and say add a reference line. You should see this. Try this out. And let me know once you're done. Okay, is everyone finished? So you will always think about this reference line when you want, some kind of a benchmarking to be displayed on the visualization. And that benchmarking could be in any way, right? So you want it on whichever column you are interested here in sales, and here you are interested in, some. Now you can also have some constant number also. So you don't want to do basically the calculation, sum of sales. So you want, okay, on your chart, for you are the, head of sales department, and you want, for the salesmen, every month, um, they have to sell 1,000 products for everyone. So you want to have that constant number. The previous one, what it was happening, based on the data, it was plotting this line, average sum of sales. But sometimes you also want to have some constant number. You can have, from here you can select constant, and you can put this constant here. Let's say, you're putting 1,000. 1,000 is very low, it is not showing up here. Let's say, let me put this, because our y-axis is so huge. Some constant number it will give up. Okay, now let me now talk about, if you right click, uh, you know earlier someone asked, okay, how do we manage this access? Correct. Now this sales is, let me take the order quantity here, right? um, right click and say edit access. So how in Excel you control the scaling of it. So here it is starting from 0, then 20,000, then 40,000. So there's a difference of 20K, correct? From 60 to 80. So there's a difference of 20K. And always it happens that, based on the data, Tableau will automatically adjust this access. And in most of the cases, 95% of the cases, we don't, manually do any changes onto this axis, because we want, okay, whatever is the data, we want it to dynamically adjust the axis. Because what happens is, if the data is, something today, if we restrict the access in future, if the data gets changed, it will not look good in terms of, adjusting those accesses manually. um, so we will leave it to Tableau to do this. But having said that, you can do that adjustments if you want. So I'll go to edit access, and it says, okay, include 0. So if I unselect that, you see that our y-axis is not starting from 0, it is starting from 0 by default. If you unselect this, it will not start from 0. So sometimes if you don't want your axis to start from 0, you can remove it, right? That is one thing. Other thing is, you want to have these tick marks. So these tick marks are nothing but, if I say fixed, and if I say, now my x-axis is, every part is being divided into thousand. So if I basically look at, here from 0 to 5K, right? So here there are 4 tick marks, and the fifth one is the 5,000. So between 5K and 10K, there are, five. So basically, we are breaking that into five parts. So 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, and 10,000. So more granular level, if you want to give that access, you can change it here. So this is how you will control your access. But as I said, it's not a good idea to fix. It should always be automatic, right? So that we don't have to worry about adjusting those access every time. But having said that, you can still do it. Can you all try this option? So on the same bar chart which you created for that reference line, right click on it. So I've selected order quantity, okay, for your information. I've selected order quantity as my y-axis, and then right click and so say edit axis, and come to this tick marks and change this, and let me know once you're done. Okay, Raj. Okay, let me give a couple of more minutes. Okay, Krishna is done. Okay. Okay, now let's look at here. Look at my screen. You people also had a question on, what is discrete and continuous, right? So few columns when we drag, it is highlighted in blue color. Some columns are highlighted in green color, right? Now, this one is discrete. So if you go and look at, this is discrete. And if we go and look at this order quantity, that is continuous. So what we have to remember is the ones which are in blue, those are discrete. The ones which are in green are continuous. Now, what are they? If you look at this year order date, 2010, 2011, 12, 13. So discrete is like it will take certain values. So can I say, 2010.1, will it take any values between 2010 to 2011? No, right? Okay, let me go to the Excel a little bit here. So let's say, let's say year, right? 2010, 2011, 2012, right? So I'm saying this year as a discrete because year will not take any values apart from these. So they will in the data in the year we will not have anything like this 2010.1, 2010.2, right? It will not take those values. It will only take these discrete values, only these values that we call it as discrete. Now let's say salary. So what do you think? Salary, is it discrete?
Shinu, salary is salary can be 2000.00 dot something. Decimal could
Mhm.
be.
So let's say if a person is earning 10,000, the other person is earning 10. Is there any rule saying that, okay, a person cannot have salary between 10,000 and 20,000? It could take any value, right? So 10,000.1, we could have it. So these are called continuous. Another example could be, weight of a person. What is the weight? It could take any value, right? The height of the person. But if I talk about, gender, let's say gender, it can be only male and female. So this is an example of discrete. It will take those finite values, but if it could take any value, then it will be continuous. So now, if we go back and try to understand here, so the quantity could be anything, right? From 1 to infinite, it could take any value. So that's why the order quantity, Tableau has automatically done that as we don't have to worry about. Tableau will automatically do it, continuous. Order date, it saw, okay, this is the column we have to do it as a discrete because this year will not take any value. There will not be anything like 2010.1 year. It will be 2010, it will be 2011, and so on. So that is the concept of discrete and continuous. So with the word itself, how do you remember is continuous means it can take any value, continuous data. Discrete means it will take the finite number of values. It cannot take any values. It will take discrete values. Understood?
Yes, got it.
So that could be an interview question also. What is discrete and continuous? Now, let me go to the new sheet and let me drag this audit date. Now let me drag this sales here. Um, and the sales, I will drag it onto the labels. Now, if I go to the, where is that? If I go to this path, I can, show different types of this thing. I'm making these dots to be bigger. I went to this path and I'm selecting different types of it. Okay. Now, if I right click, so you understood about how do we add the reference line, how do we manage this access. If I right click on it, there's something called as forecast. Now, and look at this axis, okay, 2010 to 2013. If I do this forecast and say show forecast, what it is doing. So what do we mean by forecast? First of all, heard about this word. So what is this forecast doing? And can you guess what has happened on the chart? Projection of future, Vamshi is saying. Perfect. So forecasting is nothing but, prediction. Now, on what basis it is predicting? We have not written any code like, the regression analysis or, uh, different kinds of algorithms which we have. We are not, writing any algorithm to predict, or, we are writing any time series. So what Tableau does is, okay, when you do that forecast based on the data, so obviously whenever we do prediction, we look at the historical data. And Tableau does a time series analysis, and it tries to forecast for the future. So we had data from 2010 to 2013. It had forecasted for 2014 as well. So the ones which is highlighted here, so this is for 2013. Now see, it is predicting that in 2014 there will be a jump in sales. Now, Tableau is not meant for doing the analytical stuff, okay, by the way. So it's not something like a Python or SAS where we can do the prediction, but Tableau gives some basic options where we can achieve this. And we don't have much control also, because this option, when I'm going there saying forecast, and when I'm doing this, I don't have much control, and I cannot customize it much. And this uses the time series analysis. It looks at the past data and it is trying to project for the next year. It is not an analytical tool, it is a visualization tool. But you know, Tableau from last 1 year, they are working on building new products. And I attended one of the conference where they were showing, see, it's all about business, right? So they see that, okay, our clients are using, a lot of our clients are using Tableau. So think in terms of Tableau perspective. They would say, okay, they are using Tableau for building visualization, they are using some other tool for doing this predictive analysis. Now, maybe after a year or couple of years, you would see that Tableau is also, coming up with lot of options in this tool itself. Now we don't have much options, but all the algorithm, like if you think about regression analysis, the decision trees, random for, and all those stuff, we can do it by just drag and drop. You don't have to write the code for doing all that stuff, because they want to sustain in the market, and they see that there is an opportunity. Our clients are using Tableau for building these dashboards. Why would they want to go for some other tool for building those models? So you would see that, okay, Tableau is coming up with a lot of different products for the core analytics also. That will happen because they are already, from last 1 year, they have already started building those things. They have not released it, but they are working on it. So this is simple forecast. You can think. So in the interviews, why I chose this is, in the interviews sometimes you also get, how do we do the forecasting or the prediction in Tableau. You can talk about this forecast option. And if you go to this forecast options, see, the forecasting always happens on certain accuracy level, right? So so by default in statistics we look at 95% accuracy. um, but there are not much options we can do here. If I go, forecast. So describe forecast. See, it will give all these quartiles and everything. These are the models, right? So I think after Tableau session, I think Ram was telling me we have to start with the Python and data science session. So over there, it will be very interesting. We'll be looking from the very basics of how do we handle so a lot of data preparation stuff which you are comfortable in doing in SAS. So we will learn the, the tool itself, the Python. How do we write those commands? How do we merge and all that stuff? And then we will be looking at how do we build the models, like from correlation analysis, from regression analysis, from building the decision trees. And the statistics is very vast, and I'll try to make that very simple to understand, so that will be very interesting. Yeah. And Python, if you hear, it's emerging technology. So if you see, a lot of companies are looking for people, SAS plus Tableau plus Python or R. R is also one of the thing, but we'll be looking at Python because Python has picked up from last couple of years. Yeah. Okay, so it's already 7:58. So what I will do is tomorrow, I've checked with Ram and he said there are no other sessions, no other sessions of yours. So tomorrow I'll be taking the session. So it will not be at 7, but let's connect at 8. I will send the meeting invite link. So tomorrow also we will connect. And if everyone is okay with Sunday also, just for 1 hour in the morning, we can also connect on Sunday. But tomorrow for sure, let us connect and then we will decide for Sunday. And I'm targeting to close this up by Wednesday. So what is my plan is, let us connect tomorrow. Yeah, it will be in the morning. Yeah, it will be in the morning at 8. Okay. Um, I will not be available from 14th. The whole week I will not be available. So what are the topics which are left is, what is the plan is, we are well on the track, but I want to give some, even if I take it from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I will be able to complete it. But I want you to give some extra time so that we can spend some time on the question and answer. So what is my plan is, tomorrow everyone has downloaded the Tableau desktop. So download the Tableau desktop and I hope everyone has it. Okay, so if I go here, and I think I have already shared, I guess, Tableau desktop. Just type for Tableau desktop and download Tableau desktop and enter your email ID and click on download free trial and install it. Okay, that is one thing. So far, whatever we have learned, we were in the Tableau desktop, right? We build this dashboard. Now in this Tableau desktop also, we will be learning some options which we were not having, not in Tableau public. Once we have that Tableau, so we will tomorrow we will look at those things, and then we will look at the Q&A questions. So while working on those assignments and project, as some of you said, you have questions, so we will spend some time on those Q&A as well. Okay, so maybe those who are not having questions, once we look at those new things which are not there in the public, you all can drop off. Those who are not having any question, but those who have any specific questions while working on the project, they can stay back. But if you have time, I would say you know attend that question and answer session also, because when you will be actually working, you will also come across the same kinds of questions. So it's better to see what other colleagues have done and what are the challenges they have faced, so that it will be easy for you next time. That is the plan. After doing that, so we will be talking about Tableau server. because all the dashboards which we have created it, we will put it onto the Tableau server. We will provide the permissions. So all the administrative tasks, because this is also very important, all the administrative tasks, how do we give the permissions, how do we, so there are a lot of things on the tab. We need to set up the server first. We will see all that stuff on the Tableau server part, right? And that should be done by Sunday and Monday, right? And on Tuesday, I will be taking a mock interview, and we will also be talking about how do we update the CVs. So that will be mostly on Tuesday and Wednesday. That is what I'm planning. But before Tuesday and Wednesday, I want, at least 2 sessions to complete this Tableau server and with hands-on, right? So that we will be able to finish it by Wednesday. If I don't take sessions on Saturday, Sunday, also I will be able to finish it, but I want to give some additional time, for that question and answer session. Yeah. And for the mock interview, um, I will be uploading today. Let me do it today. I'll be uploading some Word documents, and in those Word documents, you would have most of the questions which you might expect in the interview. So just go through those questions, and there will be answers for each and every question. Just go through them and be prepared for that mock interview. So the mock interview will be like, think as if you are giving the interview, right? I'll keep on asking certain questions, and I would expect answer from everyone. Okay. And once you do, because after learning all these things at the end of the day, you want to update your CVs. I'm sure you must have updated your CVs with the SAS stuff. We want to put the Tableau stuff also to make your CV perfect, right? So what I'll also do is I will upload. Okay, I haven't created that folder. Let me do that. So I will be uploading CVs into this CVs folder, resumes, sample CVs, around 8 to 10 CVs I will upload. Then in one of the session, like on Tuesday or Wednesday, I will walk through, okay, what you have to put in there so that you can pick the same things and put it in your CVs. I'll do that. So this is what my plan is. So we should be able to finish it by Wednesday, because for that next 1 week I will not be available, and we are well within our track. Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow at 8 a.m., please try to join. Yeah. On Sunday, whether to join it or not, we will decide tomorrow. But please don't miss the tomorrow session. And I'll send a meeting invite link for tomorrow at 8 a.m. Okay. Okay, so thank you everyone. We will connect tomorrow again. Thank you.